I sit by the window, and the light slowly slides down the wall. It doesn't ask me if I'm ready, it doesn't demand explanations, it doesn't set conditions. It just is. And in that simplicity, I feel something more than the movement of the sun or the glare of a lamp. I feel a presence that doesn't need words. This day doesn't demand explanations. It just is. And I just am too. In the silence that unfolds around me, I hear my own breathing. It reminds me that I'm alive, that I'm already here. And even if it seems like nothing is happening, in reality everything is happening. Every second is a step. Every pause is a space for something new. I remember how a few months ago I was in college, and my days were filled with noise, rush, endless tasks. Now I'm moving on to university, and this transition feels like a new stage. It's not loud, it's not triumphant, it's quiet. Like the light changing on the wall. Like a shadow that moves slowly, even if you're not looking. Silence is not empty. It's filled with me. Filled with my thoughts, my plans, my fears, and my peace. I think about my videos, about those poetic shorts that I create, and about the long meditative recordings that are still waiting for their time. They too are born from silence. Because it is in silence that I find words that don't sound like explanations, but sound like presence. I feel that every frame, every pause, every sound of the wind is a part of me. It's not just a background, it's my reflection. And when I look at the light in the window, I see myself, changeable, mobile, but always present. I feel my life unfolding in a new rhythm. Now I'm not just a student, I'm already a laboratory assistant at the institute, and this role adds weight to me. But at the same time, I remain the same guy who loves to write poetry, who creates videos that sound like prayers to silence. My room becomes a studio, my window a stage, my shadow an actor. And I understand, I don't need to prove anything. I'm already here. I'm already enough. Silence is not empty. It's filled with me. And I'm filled with it. I think about Yulia, about our dialogues, about those moments when we are silent, but silence also speaks. It speaks more than words. It speaks of trust, of warmth, of presence. I think about my family, about those rituals that we create together. And I understand, even in silence, we are together. Even when I sit alone by the window, I feel their presence. This day doesn't ask for explanations. It just is. And I just am too. The light changes on the wall. It glides, as if someone invisible is drawing new lines, new boundaries, new outlines. I look at these changes and understand. They happen independently of me, but at the same time they are a part of me. Because I am changing too. I am also moving, even when it seems that I am standing still. Every minute brings a new shade. Sometimes the light is warmer, sometimes colder. Sometimes it dissolves a shadow, sometimes it creates it. So are my days. Sometimes they are filled with warmth, sometimes they seem cold and distant. But in each of them there is me. And that is the main thing. Silence is not empty. It is filled with me. Filled with my thoughts, my plans, my fears, and my peace. I think about my videos. About those short poetic shorts that I create, and about the long meditative recordings that are still waiting for their time. They are also born from light and shadow. Because it is in the light that I see images, and in the shadow that I find words. I remember how my videos came to life in September. How they found viewers, how they became part of other people's evenings, other people's thoughts, other people's silences. It was like a light that suddenly became brighter. And I realized, my words can be a presence for someone else. Silence is not empty. It is filled with you. And when you watch my videos, you also fill this silence. I think about my room. It is small, but every wall here is like a screen. The light draws stories on them, and I only add words. Sometimes it seems to me that I am not creating a video, but simply recording what already exists. Because light and shadow themselves tell stories. I think about my plans. About how I want to create a series of long videos, where every pause will be important, where every word will be like a breath. And I know, this is not just content. This is my presence. This is my light on someone else's wall. The silence is not empty. It is filled with me. And I am filled with it. I feel my fears dissolving in the light. They do not disappear, but become part of the picture. And I understand, I do not need to overcome them. I need to accept them, because they are also a part of me. I feel my plans come to life in the shadows. They are not always clear, not always understandable, but they are there. And that is enough. Because every shadow is an opportunity for light. The light changes on the wall. And I change with it. The silence is not empty. It is filled with you. I reach out and touch the fabric. It is cold, but at the same time warm, because it has the memory of touches, of movements, of presence. I feel its texture, and it reminds me that the world is made up of details. Small, imperceptible, but they are what create the feeling of the whole. At that moment, I feel like a part of something bigger. My breathing becomes slow, muffled. I listen to it, as one listens to music that sounds in silence. And I understand, even if I do nothing, I already am. I am already enough. You are already here. You are already enough. These words sound to me like a mantra. They do not need proof. They do not need explanation. They simply are. I think about my work in the laboratory. About the new responsibilities that I am taking on. They seem difficult, but at the same time they add weight to me. I am no longer just a student. I am already part of the institute. And this role changes me. It makes me more responsible, more mindful, more present. I think about my financial plans. About how my new job gives me stability. And I understand, this is also part of my presence. Because being enough is not only about an inner feeling, but also about external steps. I think about my videos. About those long meditative recordings that I want to create. They are also born from the pause. Because it is in the pause that meaning is born. It is in the pause that I find words that sound like presence. You are already here. You are already enough. These words repeat themselves in me over and over. They become a rhythm that leads me forward. I feel my fears dissolve in this pause. They do not disappear, but they become less loud. And I understand, I do not need to overcome them. I need to accept them. Because they are also a part of me. I feel my plans come to life in this pause. They are not always clear, not always understandable, but they are there. And that is enough. Because every pause is an opportunity for something new. I think about Yulia. About those moments when we are silent, but silence also speaks. It speaks more than words. It speaks of trust, of warmth, of presence. And I understand, even in a pause, we are together. I think about my family. About those rituals that we create together. And I understand, even in a pause, we are together. Even when I sit alone by the window, I feel their presence. You are already here. You are already enough. These words sound in me like a light that does not go out. There is an empty chair in front of me. The camera slowly approaches, and I look at it as if it is waiting for someone. But this chair is not empty. It is filled with expectation. And expectation is also a presence. I feel the room getting quiet. The silence is not oppressive, it is not frightening, it is not a void. It reminds me that even when nothing happens, everything happens. Because waiting is a process. It is a movement that is not visible, but which is felt. Expectation is also a presence. These words sound in me like the chime of a clock counting down the time. I think of Yulia. About those moments when we wait for each other. When we cannot speak with our voices, but we write messages that sound like poetry. When we are silent, but silence also speaks. It speaks more than words. It speaks of trust, of warmth, of presence. I remember our rituals. Small but important. They seem simple, but in reality they are full of meaning. Because every ritual is also an expectation. An expectation of warmth, an expectation of joy, an expectation of presence. I think about my family. About those moments when we sit together, but are silent. And I understand, even in silence we are together. Even in waiting we are together. Waiting is also a presence. These words repeat themselves in me again and again. They become a rhythm that leads me forward. I think about my future. About those plans that I create. They have not yet come true, but they already are. And that is enough. Because every plan is also an expectation. And every expectation is also a presence. I think about my videos, about those long meditative recordings that I want to create. They do not yet exist, but they already exist in my imagination. And that is enough. Because every video begins with an expectation. And every expectation is also a presence. I feel my fears dissolving in this expectation. They don't disappear, but they become less loud. And I understand, I don't need to overcome them. I need to accept them. Because they are also a part of me. I feel my plans come to life in this expectation. They are not always clear, not always understandable, but they are there. And that is enough. Because every expectation is an opportunity for something new. An empty chair stands in front of me. But it is not empty. It is filled with expectation. And expectation is also a presence. The light gradually fades. It does not disappear suddenly, does not tear me away from the warmth, but gently recedes, leaving behind a feeling of completion. I watch the room grow darker, the shadows expand, the space fills with a new silence. And this silence is different. It is not initial, not expectant, it is final. I feel every minute of this day become a part of me. It does not disappear, it remains in me, like a light that has gone out but left a warm trace. And I understand, the end is not the end. It is the beginning of something new. If you were warm, stay. I will still be. These words sound to me like a promise. Not loud, not triumphant, but quiet and confident. I think about my videos, about those long meditative recordings that I create. They also have an end. But every end is an invitation. An invitation to stay, an invitation to return, an invitation to be together. I think about Yulia. About those moments when we end a conversation, but we know, this is not the end. This is just a pause. Because we will still be. We will still return to this warmth. I think about my family. About those evenings that end, but leave behind a feeling of presence. Because even when the light goes out, we know, we will still be together. I think about my future. About those plans that I create. They have not yet come true, but they already are. And every end is a step towards them. The light gradually fades. But it does not disappear. It leaves behind warmth. And I understand, even in the darkness I am present. Even in the silence I am. If you were warm, stay. I will still be. These words become my call. They are not about subscriptions, not about algorithms, not about numbers. They are about presence. About what I am. About what I will be. I feel my fears dissolving in this silence. They do not disappear, but they become less loud. And I understand, I do not need to overcome them. I need to accept them. Because they are also a part of me. I feel my plans come to life in this silence. They are not always clear, not always understandable, but they are there. And that is enough. Because every ending is an opportunity for something new. The light gradually fades. But I will still be.